So consider this is our Palo Alto firewall, right? So we seated here. So here we have a switch, so which is nothing but this is our inside zone, and we created one more zone here. Okay, this is our DMZ zone, right? So and we connected this interface towards our ISP. This is our outside zone, whichever the traffic is going from inside to DMZ. Okay, so we created here the security policies, and whatever the traffic is going from inside to outside, for that also we created the security policies. So this is what your layer 2 deployment. Instead of assigning the IP addresses on these particular interfaces, what we done, we created the VLANs. So this is what your layer 2, right? So when we go with the layer 3, sorry, not the layer 3, tap mode, right? After the layer 2, we done about the tap mode. What we did in the tap mode, so we have a router here, right, which is connected towards our ISP, then we have a switch here, right? This is our switch. So on that switch we connected two of the users like this, clear? So there we connected our PA box here. This is our PA box, which is connected like this. So any of the interface you can consider this one. So in this interface, right, so here and here, this interfaces we configured as a span source ports, and this we configured as a span destination port, right? So these two we already done. So you can see here, whatever the firewall traffic is going from LAN to internet, okay, so that is passing via the firewall, right? So which means this is inline mode. So when we perform the tap mode, see here the traffic is not actually going from here, it is just going the mirror of copy of your traffic, right? So once here the packet was generated, it used to go to the switch, and switch used to forward to over the internet, but the same traffic is going to forward to the Palo Alto firewall as well, because we configured the spans. What span used to do? Span is nothing but mirroring your traffic, right? Span is to mirroring your traffic.
Yes, sir.
Okay. But now, whatever we discussed today, right? Let me take. So in the today's one, a bit different, guys. A bit different. So what is different here? Consider I have already.
Sir, I have a question. What
Yes,
do we
yes.
call here, sir, in that node? Like it is, or in L2 node, we call it as it is in inline mode. And in
Yes.
tap mode, is it in outline or what do we call it?
We called not in inline, not inline.
Not inline.
Inline and not inline. Okay. Inline and not inline. So this interface we used to configure as a tap, right? This particular interface we used to configure as a tap. But guys, in today's scenario, okay, a bit different. Okay, let me explain you. So what will happen, right? Why exactly the vWire mode is going to be used? vWire deployment. Why vWire deployment? Exactly. Actually, in my production, I have a ASA firewall. ASA stands for, it's a Cisco's box, right? Cisco ASA, right? Cisco ASA, which means Adaptive Security Appliance. From there, I have the internet connectivity, guys. From there, I have the internet connectivity. Okay, fine, till here. And I have a core switch in my production network as well. So from ASA to switch, I have a connectivity. Clear? From there, I have a distribution switches as well. You can consider this is our distribution switch, switch 2, switch 1, and switch 3, which are connected like this. Clear? So there is a port channel between the switch 1 core switch to the aggregation switch. And here we have the LAN user setting. So this is what my existing infrastructure. This is what my existing infrastructure. All the traffic, which is whatever the traffic we have, right? So that is going like this. Clear? Agreed? Any doubt till here?
No doubt.
No,
No
sir.
doubt. No doubt. Okay. So here we used to get the WAN pool, right? WAN IP address. So here in the LAN we used to get the, here we have a public IP address, public addresses, and here we will have any private address, right? Anything we will take private addresses. So till here we know. Now, why we required vBID mode? vBID mode is nothing but, okay. So vBID is useful when you're going to deploy. See, generally what will happen, right? You have the, see, ASA firewall is going to be filter the traffic based on layer 3 and layer 4 only. Layer 3 and layer 4, which means based on the IP address, based on the IP address and the
And port.
port number, IP address and the port number only. But my users are trying to access any URL, right? That is not going to filter my firewall, because ASA is the legacy firewall. ASA is the legacy firewall which don't have the advanced URL filtering, which that don't have the advanced URL filtering or application detection. See, in Palo Alto, the next generation firewall, what is the main important thing we have? There we have the SP3 architecture, right? SP3, single pass parallel processing. So in this SP3 architecture, we used to get the app ID, content ID, content ID, app ID, content ID, and the user ID. So the firewall is able to detect which kind of application you are trying to be used and what kind of content, which means the data is going and who is going to be accessed. User base means, user ID means who is going to be accessed. We can filter based on these three features, like that is called your SP3 architecture is going to be work. But that functionality we don't have in a ASA firewall because it is a legacy one. Now, see, this company is XYZ company. So for this XYZ company, okay, Muzammil is the senior engineer. Muzammil is the senior engineer. Now, he wants the next generation firewall. He wants the next generation firewall to be placed in this particular location. But Sai is the manager of that company. Okay, so Muzammil has, let me write down here so that you will be remember. See, we have the Muzammil. Okay, Muzammil is the senior engineer. Muzammil is senior engineer. So Muzammil is given the suggestion, like the drawing, like the architecture. Hey, Sai. Okay, Sai is, who is this guy? This guy is the manager. Okay, so Muzammil used to visit to the managerial meeting, and he's saying that Muzammil, okay, we have the legacy firewall. We have the legacy firewall in our infrastructure, due to which we are unable to perform the next generation kind of filtering. So I am proposing, Muzammil is saying that I am proposing, so we need to take the next generation firewall. We need to take the NGFW, next generation firewall. Okay, Sai will say that, okay Muzammil, fine, I'm going to approve for next generation firewall, but what is my concern is my production should not be impact. Okay, my production should not be impacted, because I have 100 or 1,000 of users are working from the office. Okay, I can give you minimum 30 minutes of downtime. 30 minutes of downtime. If you have the caliber, like if you are able to change this ASA box with the next generation firewall within 30 minutes, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Then what Muzammil will say, okay, sure, I have no problem. I'll do that. I'll do that. So what Muzammil will think? So Muzammil has proposed to take the Palo Alto firewall. Muzammil has proposed to take the Palo Alto firewall, right? So Palo Alto firewall is going to give the various type of deployments. The very first deployment, layer 2. If Muzammil is trying to do the layer 2 deployment, so layer 2 is the inline firewall, right? Either Muzammil has to place here or here. So at that time, there will be a outage. Again, Muzammil has to do some configurational changes. So the layer 2 deployment is not possible here. Either if the Muzammil is trying to deploy the new Palo Alto firewall as a layer 3 deployment, that is also not going to be possible, because he has to do all the routing and the NATing kind of stuff. So it will take minimum 24 hours of downtime. So Sai has said that 30 minutes buffer time I can give you, right? So Muzammil will not be go with the layer 2 deployment, or will not go with the layer 3 deployment. Even he will not go with the tap mode deployment. Okay, he can do the tap mode. He can do the tap mode. If he do the tap mode, right? So the firewall is here, not in inline. So actually Muzammil wants the firewall should be in inline. So he will not go with the tap mode as well. So this three is not possible. Now we have the fourth mode, which is the V-wide mode. So with the help of V-wide mode, he can reduce or minimize the downtime, and he can deploy the firewall as an inline. Understood, guys?
Yes.
Just a Ethernet 1/1 and another is Ethernet 1/2. Okay, so these ports Muzammil is going to configure as a V-wire. V-wire. So when we configure the Palo Alto firewall as a V-wire, it will be in inline. Okay, it will be in inline. So within 30 minutes, right? Within 5 minutes, you can do that. You are not going to do anything. Let this firewall like this. Okay, and you are going to place your Palo Alto box here. You are going to place your Palo Alto firewall here. You are just cutting this cable. You are just cutting this cable here and here, and you are going to connect here Ethernet 1/1, Ethernet 1/2. You need not to do any routing. You need not to do any routing or any NATing. Everything will run from here. It is just going to, it is the firewall is going to be inline. It is just going to filter the traffic based on the based on the V-wide trust zone. This is your V-wide trust zone, and this side is V-wide untrust zone. This is also going to filter the traffic, and this is also going to filter the traffic. This is how in production networks, within a less minimum downtime, this is how we are going to deploy the Palo Alto firewall as a V-wide. Understood, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
now we'll discuss firewall as a V-wide or virtual wide deployment. Okay, it is a transparent deployment. It is what? Transparent deployment. See, whatever the traffic is coming, it is just going to move the traffic. Okay, we are going to configure this particular interface and this interface as a transparent. Okay, it is not going to change anything, just transparent, like how we have a server, client, right? And the transparent, what transparent switch used to do, it is just going to forward the traffic, whatever the traffic it is going to be hit, right? That traffic, it is going to be forward. Likewise, this Palo Alto box also, either it is an inline, but still it is just going to forward the traffic based on the transparent. Okay, when we are going to deploy the Palo Alto firewall as a V-wire mode, it is going to work as a transparent. It is going to work as a transparent, okay, inline mode, transparent inline mode. Okay, that allows firewalls to be inserted into your network. Okay, inserted your network here. Okay, without changing the existing topology. Without changing the existing topology. Clear? Logically, this firewall is between this. Like logically, this is your main firewall, but this is acting as a transparent firewall. Whatever the traffic is coming from downstream, it is just going to give to the upstream firewall. It is just going to give the upstream firewall. So this particular physical interfaces, right? These interfaces you are going to we are going to bind together as a virtual V-wide mode. So here you are going to create two different zones. Okay, in this particular firewall, you are going to create two different zones. One is V-wire trust zone. Another is V-wire untrust zone. V-wire trust zone, V-wire untrust zone. So here you are going to call as a untrust, and here you are going to call as a trust. That's it. Nothing you have to do. Then again you need to write down the policy, guys. Okay, security policy. Remaining, there is no configuration, extra configuration are going to be added here. Only this thing you need to be do. Only this thing you need to be perform in a V-wire, virtual wire actually. Clear? See, and one more interview point is, if you are going to deploy the Palo Alto firewall as a V-wide mode, so what other features you are not able to do? See, if you deploy the Palo Alto firewall as a V-wide, it is going to work as a transparent and inline mode. Transparent and inline mode. There you are going to create the trusted and untrusted zones, and you need to write the security policies as well. So due to which it is going to filter your traffic from layer 2 to layer 7. Stateful inspection. It is going to provide the stateful inspection, actually stateful inspection. Okay, but some other limitations are there. What is the limitations? So these points you need to remember to clear the interviews, because interviewer is not going to ask you how to show me how to configure that. He is just going to ask you, okay, what is the advantages and what is the limitations. So when you are configuring the firewall as a layer like a V-wide mode, okay, we have few limitations. Okay, because V-wide deployment operate transparently, we know that. So when we are going to deploy your Palo Alto firewall as a V-wide, it is going to operate as a transparently, and firewall cannot do certain functions. So which function? So here when I mention here this point said, did I mention any routing related points? Any routing like the virtual router or any
No.
static route? No, right? So the very first point is that, okay, so it is not going to work as a, it will not work as a router. It will not work, or it is not going to inspect based on the layer 3, because we are not going to configure any IP addresses. We are not going to configure in this particular interfaces any IP addresses. We just like how we created here, right, the layer 2 interfaces like the tap interface. Likewise, we are going to create the V-wide. We just need to call the V-wide mode. Type of the interface is V-wide. We are not going to create anything. Clear? And even we are not able to terminate the VPNs, which means we are not able to configure the VPN services. In Palo Alto is going to support two types of VPNs. One is site-to-site VPN, or you can call as a S-to-S VPN. S stands for site, okay? Site-to-site VPN and remote VPN. Remote VPN in Palo Alto we used to call as a Global Protect GP VPN. Global Protect VPN. These two VPN services you will not able to configure when you deploy the Palo Alto firewall as a V-wide mode. So it is going to act as a layer 2 box, guys. Because layer 2, in layer 2 also we are going to create the VLANs, right? So here what we are going to create, we are going to create the zones. What is this? This is your zone, trusted and untrusted. This is your zones, okay? So we are just going to create the zones. That's it. So this is what your layer 2. So you need to be remember few points, okay? If you get the question in the interview related to the transparent firewall, so the very first point you need to mention here in the interview is Palo Alto firewall is going to support you to deploy the V-wide mode or the virtual mode of deployment. When we deploy the Palo Alto firewall as a V-wide mode, it is going to work as a transparent inline firewall, transparent inline mode. So there we are going to create only the zones, the security zones and the security policies. And we are not going to configure any IP addresses on the particular interfaces like the Palo Alto firewalls interfaces. And the very important point is the V-wide mode is also called as a bump in the wire deployment. Bump in the wire. Bump in the wire deployment. Because earlier we had a cable, right? We just breaking here cable here, and we are replacing the firewall, which is nothing but bump in the firewall.